When I first moved to Denver, I felt like a small fish tossed into an ocean, a new city, new job, new everything. I was 27, eager but nervous, working as a project coordinator in a large marketing firm that buzzed with energy. The office was full of bright, young faces, people who seemed to know exactly where they were going in life, while I often felt like I was scrambling just to catch up. But then there was Daniel. At 43, he stood out among the sea of 20-somethings. Quiet, steady, with salt and pepper hair and a calm presence, he had a way of grounding the chaos around him. Yet for all his skill and wisdom, he kept to himself, almost as if he didn't belong. It didn't take long for me to notice he avoided small talk, rarely joined the after-work happy hours, and often slipped out quietly once the day was done. At first, I thought he just wasn't interested in friendships at work, but then I started to see something else. Hesitation, as if he believed nobody wanted him around. One late evening, I was the last one in the office, hunched over a spreadsheet that refused to balance, and my frustration must have been obvious, because Daniel appeared beside my desk. "You're missing a column formula," he said simply. I blinked up at him, confused, and then he leaned over, pointed at my screen, and with just a few keystrokes, everything aligned perfectly. I exhaled in relief, thanking him, and he gave a small smile, saying sometimes it's just about seeing patterns. That was the first real conversation we had. And from then on, Daniel would occasionally stop by my desk when he noticed me struggling, never in a show-off way, but quietly with a few words of advice that always seemed to make things clearer. One morning, I found myself behind him in line at the coffee shop near the office. He ordered plain black coffee, no sugar, no cream. I teased him, calling it bold, and he chuckled, saying maybe it was just boring. We ended up sitting together, sipping our drinks before work, and to my surprise, the conversation flowed easily, about books, movies, even the snowstorm forecast that week. From then on, it became a habit, not every day, but often enough that people started to notice. "You and Daniel are close, huh?" My coworker Jenna teased one afternoon, and I shrugged, saying he's just easy to talk to. But truthfully, it was more than that. He listened. He didn't just wait for his turn to speak, he really listened. One Friday evening, after another long week, a group from the office invited me out for drinks. Daniel was standing nearby, and I asked if he was coming too. He shook his head quickly, saying it wasn't really his thing. I pressed a little, and his expression shifted, a mix of discomfort and something deeper, and he finally said, "Claire, you're young. You fit in with them." Me. I'd just be the odd one out. Nobody wants the old guy hanging around. The way he said it made my chest tighten. "You really think that?" I asked, and he gave a small, sad smile, saying he didn't think it, he knew it. Then he picked up his coat and left. I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said, about the idea that he truly believed his age made him unwanted, invisible even, and it bothered me more than I expected. The following week, I asked him to join me for lunch. At first he resisted, but eventually he agreed. Halfway through our sandwiches, I finally confronted him, telling him he keeps saying he doesn't belong because of his age, but didn't he see how much people respected him? How much I respected him? He looked down, fiddling with his napkin, and said respect maybe, but friendship was different, that I wouldn't want to waste my time with someone who'd already lived half his life. I asked softly, "Who told you that?" Because it wasn't me. And it's not anyone here. That's a story you've been telling yourself, not the truth. Something changed after that conversation. Daniel still kept his quiet ways, but slowly, he let himself be included. He joined us for lunch once in a while. He even came to one Friday gathering, staying only for an hour but long enough to laugh at a few jokes and prove he wasn't invisible. And for me, our friendship deepened. I found myself turning to him for advice, not just about work, but about life. He had this way of cutting through the noise, of reminding me what really mattered. One snowy evening, walking back from the coffee shop, he admitted, "I was wrong. About you. I thought you wouldn't want me around because of my age. But you proved me wrong." I smiled at him, my breath visible in the cold air, and said, "Daniel, I never cared about the number. I care about the person. And you're one of the best people I know." From then on, Daniel stopped apologizing for being older. He stopped excusing himself from things he actually wanted to do. And I stopped worrying about what anyone else thought about our friendship, because it wasn't about fitting into some category. It was about connection. One evening, as we packed up from a late project, he said, "You've given me something I didn't realize I was missing." When I asked what, he said, "A reminder that I'm not finished yet. That I still matter. To someone." I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled, because sometimes words aren't enough. Looking back now, I realized that Daniel's fear wasn't really about me. It was about himself, about the story he'd been carrying, that his age made him unworthy of new friendships, new trust, new beginnings. But that night in the snow, when he finally believed me, I think we both learned something important. That age is just a number. What matters is the heart behind it. And sometimes, proving someone wrong about their fears is the kindest thing you can do.